I did that safe thing where when you go to the bathroom with a lapel mic still on you, you mute the microphone. You know, I know that personally, like from, oh, yes, yes, okay, this is correct. But um, I have heard horror stories of people forgetting to mute their lapel microphones and going to the bathroom, thinking that whatever scene they were on um, did not have their microphone, you know, like as like an audio input source. And I do not I do not um, play around with that, just in case, you know. But anyway, um, let me put on this guy. I know I'm early. I know I'm early to this. So we got to wait a little bit for people to kind of like file in. um, but hello again, Nicholas and Blue Moon. Hello again, Michael. We are going to clean up my flute because I just had a practice session. And then and while we do that, I'll have my coffee and, you know, just kind of refresh and, you know, kind of get my bearings again. So, anyway, yeah, too many horror stories I have heard of people forgetting to mute their lapel mics when they go to the bathroom. So I was like, you know, I am not risking anything, even though I know I did not put this as an input, like an audio input in like my like, you know, welcome screen, break screen. You never know if something happens and like hits the exact right key on your keyboard and puts you back into like this scene that has this as an audio input. You never know. Things happen. We do not play around. We do not take those risks. So I muted my lapel mic. But that meant that I forgot to turn it back on when I put myself back into this scene. Amazing practice stream, by the way. Oh, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. So, while we pack up my flute, I wanted to kind of, I guess, tell you guys the story of how I got my Mateki. I'm not sure if I even told any of you guys how I got my Mateki, because for those of you guys who don't know what we're going to be looking at today, the title does say a box of flutes, but actually this specific box of flutes, we're going to be looking at two of them today and comparing them, one of them against one of my old flutes. One of them is a 14 karat Mateki, and then the other one is an 18 karat vintage Muramatsu with a very funny looking G to A trill, high G to A trill, and a C foot joint. So, you know, it's just, it's going to be a fun time. As I am like finding the links and stuff for you guys, I will put them in the video description. But yeah, I decided to just be kind of relaxed about it because this week, in terms of work, has been really tough because I've had a really rough period. And you know, I wanted to get more prepared for today's stream, but that didn't happen, and I figured it's fine. You guys can deal with me putting in the links as we talk about it. But hello, Lippity, how are you? But yes, story time about Mateki. So, back in my day, there wasn't this idea of taking multiple flutes out on trial shipped to you from a flute distributor. It's just not a thing. Okay, so the ways that you could choose, you could find a flute. One, you could just try and see what your local store had, but most local stores had a very, very limited amount of flutes and basically no professional model flutes. That was just not a thing back then. So the other way that you could get a flute is if you signed up for these kinds of like mini tours. So flute brands, and they actually still do it these days, but flute brands will arrange to kind of essentially tour around a like general large location, a large region, and they will bring all their flutes with them, and they will do things like they'll rent a room from a hotel, or rent some sort of space where they can show flutes. They will also, in some cases, if you sign up, they can actually straight up come to your home with all these flutes for you to try. But usually all of these flutes are within one brand, because it is one brand's kind of, like tour, essentially. Sometimes you will get distributors doing it as well. So if it is a distributor, then that means that you can try many, many flutes. Another way that you can try a lot of flutes, at least back then, and you can still do it now, but kind of depended on what your flute technician had in stock, because a lot of flute technicians, on top of fixing flutes, will sell flutes. Like they know where to get their hands on flutes, So a lot of technicians end up just kind of selling flutes on the side. And so that was one way that you could also try flutes. But it's not like how it is now, especially with the Flute Center, where you essentially have this insanely huge inventory of like pretty much like almost every flute that you can get your hands on. And then you can just like do like a huge trial where they like send it out to your house, and you can just like try out 3 to 5 flutes, I believe technically the My Perk gives you trying 3 instruments at a time. So, but if they're head joints, then you get to try more head joints too. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to give you guys that context that back when I was 12 years old, it was not like it is now. The access to high quality instruments was actually very limited, and it was hard to kind of break into that circle without your teacher basically directly hand-holding you into that industry. So anyway, I was told by my teacher by the time I reached around 11, 12 years old, I was told by my teacher that I could not keep playing and keep studying the music that I was studying on my beginner Yamaha flute. I was on my Yamaha 225 SII at the time, and she was just like, "Oh, honey, this ain't gonna cut it," Like I was playing things like Chaminade already by that time, so it's like imagine trying to play Chaminade, but with like all the little like micro expressions and tonal things and tonguing articulation things that you're wanting to do. And it just, you can still make it very beautiful on a beginner model flute, but it's not going to have the same like finesse and refinement that you want unless you play on a handcrafted high quality, high level flute. So yeah. Cranky, you don't have the variety in Australia, so it's a treat going to Flute Center. If you're in Australia, Cranky, I'm going to Australia very soon. I probably should actually make this into an official announcement, but I will be giving 2 workshops at the Australian Flute Festival early October. So, Cranky, if you are going to the Australian Flute Festival, I would love to see you in person. I would love that. It would be amazing. Please. So, yeah. Okay. And Miguel just got the new cloths. Did you get this one? Did you get the newest one? I really like the newest one. The texture, even better than the last one. I already thought the last one was amazing. I can't stop touching this one. This is so soft. Anyway, sorry for the like super crazy distracted, but let's go back to my story. So I just wanted to like give you guys that context that you know, back when I was 12 years old, it was very, very limited access to handmade flutes, just in general. But you know, my teacher essentially just started to go flute shopping for me because my parents didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't really use the internet at that time. I was only 12. This was in the early 2000s. So like, you know, the use of the internet was just not really something that, you know, every Joe Schmo did at that time. So anyway, one day, my teacher informed my family, hey, Joanna needs a new flute. And I went looking around and I found this flute. And the flute that she found was this baby, a Mateki, a used Mateki, solid silver, closed hole C foot joint. And she was able to get an absolute steal on this. It is worth way more than we paid for. At the time in the early 2000s, we paid $2,000 for this really quite gorgeous flute. So I'll show it to you guys here. It needs a lot of TLC. This needs a full-on overhaul. So please don't judge. But here we go. So this is the little baby. As you can see, I did actually get a C key, a C cork added to this as well. So I've actually had the C cork kind of experience since before my Brandon. But yeah, this is it. She needs a lot of TLC. And we got her in the early 2000s, which was when the Lord of the Rings came out. And that was when I became a Lord of the Rings fanatic, and I have never stopped being a Lord of the Rings fanatic. And I went full evil and decided that I was going to name my new flute Precious. 12-year-old Joanna, man. So, but yeah, this is her. She's I love her. I think for a long time I ended up feeling a little bit kind of resentful because I was I felt like my flute wasn't good enough for the longest time because it was C foot joint and because it was closed hole. But what I realize now is that this was perfect for me at the time because I was even smaller than I am now, and I'm quite a short person. And so having a C foot joint, I think balance-wise, fit my small frame much better than me attempting to play a B foot joint at 12 years old. And the closed hole meant that I could actually kind of like put my fingers in a spot that was actually comfortable for me and natural, and it made it so that, you know, technique was a lot easier. So those are things that I had no idea that this was actually giving me an advantage for a really long time. You'll also notice that there aren't any real fancy things on here. There's no split E mechanism. As you can see, there's also no C-sharp trill. This is like very, very bare bones flute. Like it's just I don't know roller, nothing. Like it's just bare bones, solid silver flute. So yeah, apparently it was worth closer at that time. It was worth closer to $8,000. And I'm thinking it's probably because it is handmade in Japan. It is Mateki. And this is, if I am correct, this was from Japan. So, you know, I would love to know a little bit more of the history of my own flute. You know, I just haven't gotten around to like really researching my serial number and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, for a long time, like obviously when I first got it, stunning, amazing. And I was just ecstatic, and I really did sound a lot better. I was able to do a lot more kind of like you know, a lot more refined playing because of this flute. But yeah, I definitely succumbed to peer pressure, which I wish someone told me back then that um, all of the peer pressure was stupid. But there was no one back then to really kind of like, you know, explain that like, hey, all the things that you're worried about are very, very superficial. And obviously, I think like in the like even if I stuck with this flute for longer, I think that ultimately I would have still ended up with a flute that was open hole because I tend to like to do like pitch bends and stuff like that. And also, I probably would have at least gotten a B foot joint. Basically, I would have done the opposite of what I ended up doing, which is getting an open hole B foot joint, and then many years later, getting a C foot joint. I think that it probably also would have made sense for me to go to like an open hole C foot joint and then also get a B foot joint, you know, as just in case. Because sometimes, you know, as a professional player, you will come across music that requires you to play a low B. And weirdly, very frequently, if you are a professional. It's just that the frequently is still only about 5% of the time that you play, but that's still way more frequently than, you know, anyone who's playing non-professionally. So in any case, yeah, looking back, I'm just kind of like, oh, I have, like, I feel like I truly had a much better flute than I thought I did. Like I didn't understand the value of my own flute for a really long time. But this is her. This is precious. Welcome back, Steve. Out of sight musician. Hello, how are you doing? Does my Mateki have soldered tone holes? I think so. Is it? They look soldered to me, which is wild. Because if I understand correctly, soldered tone holes are way more labor to do. Oh, I should look up Takagi Ayako, who plays on the same German flute. German too, eh? Because my head joint is German. Close hole C foot too for 25 years this year. This is like, it might look bare bones, but my God, guys, it's comfortable to play. Because like it doesn't restrict where your fingers have to go. You can play in a much more natural way that's natural to your own hand. The C foot joint is way lighter. It also means that like your air bubble doesn't have to sit as high for the high notes, and your air bubble doesn't have to sit as low in the mouth for low notes. So that's probably why I was able to play a lot of pretty crazy music when I was younger, probably because of the C foot joint and the close hole. Like I really didn't understand the advantages of the close hole C foot. Just crazy. Oh, she played on the same flute for 25 years. That makes sense. That makes sense to me because like I'm almost certain this flute is older than me. I'm almost certain because I was only 12 when I got this, and I'm almost certain this thing is older than me. But yeah, I just haven't really researched the serial number on this. So Miguel, you used to also be against getting a C foot because it, quote, wasn't professional, but since getting out of that mindset, now you're heavily leaning towards wanting a convertible foot joint for your next flute. Yes, I get it. The only reason why I didn't get a convertible is because I was already on my essentially forever flute. So it made no sense for me to, like, I already had a B foot. Made no sense for me to buy another B foot, you know, like, because a convertible means that it's a B foot too. So, yeah, like if you are looking for like a full upgrade though, the convertible, I can tell you, a lot of professionals will tell you that it's absolutely worth it. Absolutely. So you just shared a link of her performance over in Talk to Joe on Discord. Thank you so much. I will go check that out after this. Yeah. But yeah, this is just, oh, no, interesting, Nicholas. I just saw that you wrote no chemical treatments at all and everything was printed using water-based paint from Japan. Are you talking about this? Is that why it's so nice? This is Nicholas's polishing cloth, by the way. Just Another Flute Guy in the chat. This is water-based paint. Oh, it's really nice. Oh, the new cloth, guys, is just, it's so good. Anyway, sorry, oh my God, I'm so distracted. But yeah. So, oh, the swab uses the same paint. So this is also water-based. Oh, incredible. Love it. Let's see. Yeah, you're right. Flute Center has a CPO Brandon with convertible foot joint. Would be very interesting to try and see if there's any differences between a convertible foot and the regular foots. I guess I have the regular foots, so I totally could request that one. Yeah, I could request that one. Yeah, and we can check it out together. That'd be really, really fun. Oh, is the paint purple on the signature swab and dark blue on the new? Oh, this is dark blue? Oh, I guess it is. Subtle. I like it. Oh, that's why it shows up this nice. Like, it shows up almost gray when you use purple ink. I like it. Anyway, so that is the story of my Mateki. I played this from when I was 12 all the way up until I was 19. So I did get into university with this flute. I played on this through my first year into the beginning of my second year. And then after that, I switched over to my Brandon. But yeah, I'm very sad that I developed a resentment toward this flute because I felt like it really made me feel other, you know? Like, whenever I took my flute out, like in like orchestra, band, that type of thing, it just looked so plain and beginner-like compared to my friends' flutes, which were all open hole B foot joints. And I just felt so behind. Because it was not explained to me just how valuable my flute actually is. Like, I did not know about soldered tone holes. I didn't know about just like the make, the build and the make of this flute. I didn't understand anything about how a beautiful flute like this works. So yeah, but my God, this needs so much TLC. Like, every single pad I think needs to be replaced. The whole thing needs an insane overhaul. Yeah. Wanting to fit in and to be like your peers is a huge thing in school. Yep. I felt so other. Like, I just felt so, like, outside of, you know, like, what a flute student should look like, you know? So yeah, I developed this crazy resentment towards this flute. And I've only, in the last, 10 years or so, now that we've been, reviewing flutes and stuff like that, and I finally learned what makes a flute a good flute. It's been a long journey for me to realize the value of this flute. It's a gorgeous thing. So I think this flute really does deserve a solid overhaul. I just haven't really put aside the money and the time for it yet. But yeah. Yeah, Miguel. Like, no matter how much we try to get away from the needing the best mindset, subconsciously we're always comparing our instruments to others in some way. Yeah. And it's like, it's actually so toxic. Like, it's because, you know, if you really think about it, each of us are wildly different from each other. So it would make sense that we need wildly different flutes from each other, you know? But it's that herd mentality, man. It's that kind of like this sort of like very primal, tribal herd mentality where we just want to fit in and be like everyone else and feel safe, you know? So like, I really want to kind of like create this space here on our little corner of the internet where it is safe to be unique. Like, it's almost expected that you are unique, that you have your own needs, and you need to find a flute that fulfills those needs, you know? Do all drawn tone holes have a rolled over top to the tone holes? I think both soldered and drawn tone holes are like that, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So, Cranky, you're asking how much does this cost in the US? So at the time that we got it, it was 2,000 US used. But apparently it was worth at least 8,000 US in the early 20s. 20s? Early 2000s. 0 zeros. Oh, and I just saw, Nicholas, you said that you see students in youth orchestra that were in a similar situation. You totally feel me. Yeah, like having a very different looking flute than their peers, right? Yeah. It's just not really talked about, guys. And I kind of hate it. Because that was my life from 12 to 19, you know? Like my formative years was me feeling like I had a weird looking flute compared to my friends, you know? Yeah, yes, this is a total sleeper. Yep. All silver soldered tone holes, but blends in with beginner flutes. Yeah, like if you're looking at this with an untrained eye, this looks like a beginner flute. It is not. It's actually a professional flute. Yeah. Let's see. So Diane is saying, also welcome Diane. How are you doing today? Players in the UK generally play on a C foot. Yep, I have learned this, you know, in the last few years. More than a B foot these days, and there is no problem buying professional closed hole flutes either. You also played a Mateki for years. This is rare in the States. Having this setup, rare. It's so rare in the States that you can only get this type of flute used. You cannot find a new professional model flute that's closed hole C foot joint in the States. It's just not made. If it is made, it's because you custom ordered it. Because you can totally custom order a closed hole C foot joint from like Brannon, for example, you know, Haynes, whoever, right? Because it's custom. But like as a kind of like a standard model, you don't see it. You just don't see it in the States. I think you should, but you don't. So out of sight, your Miyazawa Vision is drawn tone holes, but your new Haynes 14K has solder tone holes, and those are not rolled at the top. Oh. Drawn, so it's because, oh, I see. So soldered, so let's see. Your new Haynes soldered tone holes are not rolled at the top. Let me look at my Brannon really quickly, because my Brannon for sure is soldered. For sure. Oh, yeah. They're not rolled. Are these considered rolled? Are they rolled? I don't know, guys. Can you guys tell just from looking at, sorry, let me focus this. Can you guys tell if that's, I think it's soldered. But the tops do look rolled to me, but I'm not sure. Soldered or soldered on, so it's a flat top. I'm actually wondering this is drawn then. Is this drawn? Let's see. Rolled. These are drawn. Okay, never mind. Never mind, not soldered. Never mind. Cut that, cut that, cut that, cut that. So this is drawn. Yeah, if it's soldered, you'll see a soldering line on the tube. That's what I thought I could see, but I guess not. Yeah, it's definitely rolled on top. Can you guys tell? It's like, okay. I agree, Michael. Like, I am glad that I kept this flute so I could, you know, have a silver flute to try other head joints on. Yeah, for sure. But there you go. Open hole B-foot is definitely a US thing. Yeah, 100%. But it's so pervasive in the industry that if you live in the US, you think the whole world thinks of it this way. It's actually, it's insane how pervasive it is. So it is always a shock when I explain to my students that that is not how they see it in Europe and in Asia. Right, out of sight. Makes sense that you can feel the rolled edges. Same thing with soldered tone holes here in the US. Oh, is it? That like soldered is like seen as like better than drawn? Is that right? Steve is saying, so drawn will have a slight curve at the base inside the tube. Soldered will have a sharper joint. Ooh, I'm gonna look inside. Oh, okay. I can see what you mean. Yeah, it is kind of like curved a bit, which makes sense because they're drawing it from the same tube, essentially, right? Yeah. Ah, Rogue, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. Sorry, you guys probably want to see the actual flute itself. Give me a sec. Let me. There. Is that better? Okay, there we go. So, story time is basically done. That was a really long story time, but I figured that it was, I think it bears mentioning, like, just like so that you guys get the entire story of kind of like how I got this flute, what my feelings have been for this flute over, you know, the last many years. It's really scary to think about. You missed story time, Rogue. Yeah, I talked about how I got this when I was 12. Just basically had no other choice but this one, because this is what my flute teacher found, which coincided with what my family could afford, which was, I found out many years later, my family actually couldn't really afford this. We were not doing grand financially. Not doing grand financially at the time. But they made it a priority to get me a better flute. I still think that's crazy. But yeah. But yeah, I just kind of give you a quick recap. I developed a resentment towards this flute because I played it between I was 12 and I was 19. And anytime I was playing in an orchestra, like youth orchestra, etc., My flute always just looks like a beginner model flute, you know, closed hole C foot joint. And because it looks beginner, like I felt like I was looked down upon. Was I really looked down upon? I don't think so, actually. But you get into this kind of like, kind of herd tribal mentality where like you really want to just fit in, you know? And so I don't think this flute deserved it. I don't think this flute deserved that resentment, because the build quality of this thing is insane. It's beautiful. It's smooth. It is not smooth now because it needs an overhaul, but if it gets an overhaul, it would be absolutely stunning. All right. But yeah, I don't think I gave it the love that it deserved at the time, because I just wanted to fit in with everyone else. But then over the last like 10 years that I've been learning about how flutes actually work through my reviews, now I'm like, I understand now that this thing is a beauty. It truly is a professional flute, but it just looks like a beginner model flute in the States. So, yeah. Oh, Rogue. Reminds you of when your mom got you a flute for Christmas a few years ago when you mentioned wanting to get back into it. It was about $100 flute. Oh, that's so sweet. And that was 2020. Yeah. Yeah, my parents bought this for me, $2,000 in the early 2000s. So you can imagine with inflation how much that would be now. And they actually could not afford it. I don't know how they got by. Yeah, exactly. Like, drawn tone holes are gorgeous. Yeah, yeah, as Nicholas is saying here. Principal of Opera, Marseille? Is that how you say it? Went from a 14 karat Brandon solder tone hole to a Muramatsu DS drawn tone hole. No shame in playing on a drawn tone hole flute. Yeah, exactly. It's a gorgeous flute. Hey, Virkosen, how are you doing? So anyway, that's the recap. I am going to put this together, and then I'm going to take out the Mateki, the other Mateki. So this one is also used. I know that some of you guys were really excited for the half offset G. Unfortunately, that one sold. Fortunately or unfortunately, that one sold, so I cannot review that one. But they had an Inline G Mateki 14K. So half offset means that, because this is a full offset, half offset meant that it's just like halfway. It's very interesting. So I did get to try that at NFA, and it was kind of weird because for me, I'm more comfortable on a full offset. But I was like, you know, if someone had like, you know, bigger hands than me, but they wanted like a slight offset, but not full offset, because a full offset might cramp some people, that's really nice. So yeah, Mateki has this option for a half offset, which is really cool. But let's put this baby together, and then we're going to take out the 14K Mateki. It's just like, even without the overhaul, like even putting this flute together, I'm like, oh, it feels really good. Like the build quality is very good, even though it really needs a good TLC. Like, look at that color, you know, the deep, delicious silver color. This one had the previous owner's like acid sweat ate through it. But oh well. Okay, so I will do, I guess, this, and this could be mostly in frame. Okay, and then let's see. Okay, so this is the 14K Mateki. It is in an Altieri bag, but oh, and looks like this is a Weissman style case. Oh, ooh, oh, delicious. Oh, wow. Okay, just looking at this straight on, My first impression is that this is way more goldy than bronzy. So if we compare to mine, yeah, you guys can really see that in the light. Mine is way more like reddy, pinky, orangey. This is way more gold. This is 14K, mine is 10 karat. Let's see if I put my 14K. Yeah, that's way closer. Yeah. I would say that my Manka is like still a little bit more orangey than the Mateki. The Mateki is way more, like, look at that, guys. Yeah, the Mateki is way more yellow. Interesting. Yeah, but they're both 14K. My Manka is 14K. Yeah, more yellow gold than rose. Yeah. Most Japanese flutes are more gold, not copper. Got it. Yeah, you could really see that. Isn't that wild? So we got a Manka here, and then this is a Mateki. Okay, so usually I find that the more yellow goldy it is, the more kind of like rounded the sound is. At least that's my kind of impression going into this, but I am very happy to be surprised by this. Okay, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, yeah, so this comes with a head joint like protector tube thing. I know I use the most amazing terminology. Also, this crown is so cute. What the heck? Look at that. This little nubby. That's so cute. I've never seen that before. That is so cute. Oh, I love that. It's like a little crown, because it is a crown, but it like actually looks like a little like poofy crown. That's so cute. I love it. Okay, so we have that. I'm going to just read out for you guys the specs here. Let me go to the actual whatchamacallit. We're gonna go to the actual product page. And I'll update the video description so you guys can go there too. Okay. All right, let me update this for you guys. So we're looking at that, and this is the Mateki serial number 1001. Okay, I just saved it. If you guys want to check the product page, please refresh the page, or I will put it. I put the link in the chat if you guys want to just kind of quickly click on that. So this is 14 karat gold head joint. There we go. 14 karat gold head joint. Just going to make sure this is nice and focused. Is it focused? There's just so much light going on. Okay. 14 karat gold body, silver mechanism, soldered silver tone holes, silver rings, ribs, and posts, French model, open hole keys, pointed key arms, inline G, B foot joint, handmade in Japan, certified pre-owned. From what I understand, usually if the flute comes with a little protector like this for the tenon, it usually means that the tube was a sheet that they like soldered into a tube. Like it was a sheet and then they turned it into a tube. That's what I have heard, but I'm unsure if that is exactly the case here. Yep, because the tenon on the body also has, oh God, I'll put that over here. The tenon is inside of here, yeah. So if there's tenon sleeves, there we go. Usually it means that, but yeah, Nicholas here is saying that most Japanese flutes have the tube protection. Yeah, which I really like. I kind of wish that like all flutes had this, because the tenons are some of the most vulnerable parts of the flute, because they're the thinnest part of the flute. It's really easy to dent it. Yeah, I'm thinking of seamed tube flutes. Yeah. So like seamed tube flutes tend to come with these little protectors, and they tend to have more like, well, I guess here it doesn't have it, but like if the flute was seamed, there's usually an extra ring that's attached to the head joint here to like keep it more protected, I believe. Oh, this thing is heavy. Oh, she's a heavy one. But anyway, noting that this doesn't have that extra ring there, I'm guessing it is not a seamed tube. I'm guessing. This is the flute that helped you realize, Miguel, that you're not a full gold player. I remember that. I remember you trying it. Yeah. So this is the Inline G version of that flute that you were trying. Someone bought that half off set that you were trying. Okay. So let's put this baby together. B-foot joints just look massive to me now. Okay, so we've put that together there, and then we'll put that together. Okay. Just putting this into of what I'm used to. More of a rock stroke grip is what we're going for here. Okay, I'm looking at the holes, the open holes. I don't know what you guys think, but to me, they look so tiny. I think they're actually smaller than my Brannon. Like to my naked eye, they look smaller. They look smaller on camera too. So this is my Brannon. This is the Mateki. So if I do that, it's smaller, isn't it? I remember, Miguel, you came to me the next day and you're like, yeah, you're right. I'm not, not a full gold player. I think you are, it feels like you like a little bit. Hey, Alluring, how are you? Yeah, they look tiny. They look tiny compared to my Brannon. It's so interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to line it up. Okay, what's interesting is I feel like you can even see it on camera when I line it up like this. Like if I line up the first key like this, you see how the G sharp is actually closer this way? Interesting. So these fingers are closer together, but then once you come out here, like I feel like you can't really see it due to the angle of the camera, but like if I move this further like this, I don't know if you can see this, but like I think I need to like have a ruler or something. Like if you look at where the edge of the ring finger key is, so we'll line up this key. So I'm lining up the right edge of the C key to the right edge, or maybe I should line up the middle of it. I'm lining up the middle of the C key to the middle of the C key of each flute. So if we do this, you can like immediately see the difference. Like the G sharp key is like further in. Yeah, it's further in. And then here on the right side, what's interesting is it's like all the right hand keys were displaced to the right a little bit. So like it's clear that the tuning is different. Yeah. Right? You guys can see it, right? So the open holes, to my naked eye at least, for some reason they look smaller on the Mateki. Yeah, just a hair. Yeah, they feel smaller. Yeah, they feel smaller. Interesting. Huh. They probably are, as most Japanese flutes are a little smaller. I noticed this. Spoiler alert. I noticed this about flute masters. flute masters flutes. I was just like, oh my God, it feels so small. Yeah. So I think like with the keys being like in kind of wildly different places, I'm like, okay, so the placement of the G sharp lever, it doesn't look like it has changed in terms of where the key actually is, because where the key actually is, that actually matches up perfectly. It's when we get to the F key here, it's like from the F key on, it's been sort of like displaced down this way on the flute. Is that on purpose? Is that going to feel more comfortable to me? Huh. Okay. Okay. Interesting. I think it's time to actually try it though. Maybe to help with reaching the pinky key. Maybe. But it would affect the tuning though, wouldn't it? Like if you displace those tone holes, the tuning is different. At least my understanding of the physics of it is that it would change the tuning. Yeah, exactly as Out of Sight is saying. The change of the keys also changes the scale of the instrument. How does it compare to my Mateki? Good question. All right. Let's line it up. It's the same! What the heck? Wait, it's the exact same. It's the exact same. Wait, that's wild. Wait, I really should not be that surprised, but I am. Wait, what the? It's exactly, is this why I had right hand problems when I switched to the Brannon? Wait. Wait, now I want to see if it's like closer to the, excuse me? Wait, okay, I'm going to put the foot joint on my Brannon. So we're gonna, let's line up the keys. Interesting. Oh God. So if we line up the C key and then what the heck? Yeah, because this one's now further down. Oh, do you guys see how Brandon did it? So look at the placement of the D sharp key. You see that? So the D sharp key on my Brannon has actually been designed to be closer to the ring finger. That's how they make up for it. Oh, that's super interesting. What? That's super interesting. The oh my God, what the? Huh? Wait, that's so cool. Yeah, the clearance is tight. Look at that. Yeah, so they moved the dish because you can design it so that these keys are closer this way. You absolutely can because the actual tone hole is on the other side, right? So that's so interesting. Huh. Okay, but if you line up now just the Matekis, so if it's just the Matekis lined up, do you see how do you see how far away is this called a post? Is from the from like the rings? This one, this 14K one, it's actually soldered onto the ring. Like, look. Isn't that wild? Like, you see that? You can't, oh God. There. Look at that. This thing is soldered right onto the ring. Yeah, the post is soldered straight onto the ring. And my Brandon is that way too. Interesting. Interesting. That's how they did it. Is this like a newer like design to make it more comfortable for people? Is that what's happened? Yeah, it's soldered right onto the ring. Is that a newer thing? What? Because, yeah, this clearly is way further away. What the heck? Also, you can really tell it needs a lot of really good TLC. Yeah, but you can see how much closer, like if I go like this, you can see how much closer the pinky key now is this way. They've also made it thinner as well. Okay. Probably a maker thing. Maybe. Yeah. It's harder to do, Steve is saying. I am not surprised. Not new. Saxes from the 1920s have that. Makes sense. Makes sense. That's super interesting. Wow. Okay. I think what I want to do now is give it a whirl. So I'm going to play my Mateki just a bit. See if I can kind of feel all those differences. You know, now that I play this, yeah, the pinky is quite far away. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna make this disappear so that there's a little bit more room for you guys to see me playing. Okay. Yeah, I naturally put my finger like only on one side of the pinky key. Huh. Can you guys imagine how nice this will sound once it gets an overhaul? Can you even imagine? No wonder I did so well between ages 12 and 19. What the heck? Okay. I do feel like I have to kind of like stretch my pinky a little bit, but I don't really have to. Like I can totally just play the pinky on the edge. That's totally fine. Oh, Christmas wish list to overhaul this. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Okay, we're now going to try this. Also, Marcus, hello. I'm glad you recognized Clair Obscure. Honestly, top game of all time for me now. It just went right up there. Beat out every other game I've ever played. Not to say that other games are not good. It's just Clair Obscure is on a different level. So we're going to try this now. I can immediately tell you guys, this is way heavier. It feels like I'm carrying, no joke, at least 1.5 times the weight of the Mateki, if not more. Maybe not quite 2 times the weight. Let me test it again. Almost 2 times. I want to say 1.75 times. Feels like it. If every subscriber donates $1, I can get my overhaul. I mean, I wouldn't say no. Okay, all right. I actually weirdly don't mind the inline. And I think it's because all the left-hand keys are way closer together. I don't have to stretch. So because they're closer, weirdly enough, I don't actually mind the inline G. We're gonna do a more more like crazy rockstro though. Where's the B flat? All right, straight up, I can tell you guys, this is the most comfortable I've ever been on an inline G. Ever. I think maybe the only modification that I would truly add to this is I would personally add my C key extension again, just because I'm really feeling like I have to kind of like squeeze my finger, you know, quite low to close that hole, close that key. But yeah, this is absolutely the most comfortable I've ever felt on an inline G. And I really think it's because all the keys are closer together. That is wild to me. I also feel like I don't have to stretch my right hand fingers as much. I'm gonna play into the low notes just to see. I'm seeing how much slippage is happening with my fingers, and it's, you can still hear I'm slipping a little bit, but it's not that bad. It's actually not that bad. They're quite small. These open holes are very small. Okay, what I can say though is definitely that B foot joint is absolutely forcing my low notes to sit very low. Like they're sitting in front of my teeth, like lower teeth, kind of behind my bottom lip. That area tends to be a little bit uncomfortable for me. Like I prefer my low notes, like my low C, kind of like sitting on sort of like the fleshy part, like the edge of the like inner moist part of my bottom lip. Like I want it to be like kind of vibrating there. And I personally, I feel that that is the most easy to control. If it dips lower, which pretty much almost always happens with a B foot joint, it gets very difficult for me to reliably control it. Like I know where to place it, but it's like, it's just a little bit more finicky for my mouth. So, Rogue. 3-hour train ride to New York City, and then Flute Center is a 10-minute walk from the station. Okay, so oh, another fun difference I'm seeing. So if I do this, you guys can see that they arrange the G sharp key there. You guys can see that they arranged the G sharp key differently. That's just a fun little thing. Interesting. Huh. They also did this situation here a little differently. I don't know if you guys can see that. They absolutely did it differently. To be fair, this is pinless and this is pinned, which, by the way, insane that this is pinned mechanism. It's so smooth. It's actually insanely smooth. Japanese pinned mechanism is stunning. Just like second to none. Like if you want like the lighter mechanism, which is pinned, and Japanese flutes agree with your mouth, go for it. It's crazy. Okay. I think what I want to do is just like a super quick review. Just like a really quick, like, here's how I think it works. But we're not going to go crazy in depth because we already went crazy in depth with sort of like the differences with my Brannon and with my Mateki, my solid silver Mateki. But Marcus, let me answer your question first. So when I say control/finicky, what do I mean? Does it feel like the notes will crack or a harmonic coming out instead? Kind of. And there's a specific reason for why it feels that way. I am getting so warm. Oh my goodness. I made a mistake wearing a sweater. Okay, anyway. When I say finicky, it means that, because for every like kind of general area of the flute, so like low notes, middle register notes, high notes. So in every general region of kind of the full range of a flute, I can feel that like there's this air bubble that I'm sort of kind of suspending in my mouth. And that air bubble wants to sit in different places. So, and that also depends on the flute. So some flutes, that air bubble is like generally more forward. Sometimes that air bubble is generally more in the back. But on every single flute, the air bubble moves depending on what note you're playing. Generally speaking, the lower the note that you're playing, the more low in the mouth and more forward in the mouth that air bubble wants to sit. The higher the note is, the further higher up in the mouth, and generally speaking, at least a little bit further back. But depending on the flute, and I'm noticing that a lot of vintage flutes, it doesn't really go that far back in the mouth at all. You're pretty much just kind of like letting that air bubble kind of rise, and that's it. So a lot of vintage flutes are like that, and then modern flutes that are designed to play like vintage flutes, like they're kind of, they take a lot of inspiration from vintage flutes. They also tend to like kind of more so sit more forward in the mouth, and that air bubble wants to sit a little bit higher, quite a bit higher when you're playing high notes. So I'll draw a map of what I'm feeling with the Mateki here. So very quickly, what we're going to do is, I think we need to do a very quick my own Mateki first. So let's get our stupid little paint.net open. I'm just going to open up, let's see. Okay, we're gonna take this and open it here. Open. All right. Okay, so let's see. I'm just gonna open up on this page so that you guys can see me a little bit better. But here's my little mouth drawing. And we are going to okay, so this is my Mateki, which is a Mateki solid silver. We're just going to call it solid silver, but the more important thing is that it's C foot joint. Okay, so I'll give you guys a quick map. Super easy. Also, I'm realizing that the outlier harmonic on my solid silver is the high B flat. Okay, so I'm oops. Let me change it back to black. There we go. Low C is here. Then 1 octave above is like here. And then the G. Okay. This is an approximation. I think it's like hovering just underneath my tooth. Okay, and then the C is like here. And that's where the teeth meets the gums. That's where the E is. So the E is here. Yeah, G is very predictable here. It's not like on my Brannon. On my Brannon, it's the one, it's kind of like, suddenly it's like lower and more forward. Yeah, the outlier harmonic is definitely the B flat here. So the B flat is suddenly like here. And then the C, if I'm correct, is just up here again. Okay, that might be a cork problem. I can feel like I can get the D. I think if I had the cork replaced here. But that's a rough map, really quick, of my Mateki solid silver. I want to just very quickly label these for you guys. So this is C4, and we have C, you can't read that, C5, and then we have G5, C6, not 7. So this is actually a very, like, what I would call a very predictable flute. You don't get the need to kind of like change what you're doing drastically until you just get to B flat, pretty much, high B flat. B flat 6. I don't think you guys can read that. Put it out here. B flat 6. and then this one is C7. Okay, so now let's see how the gold is, the 14K. And keep in mind this one is B foot joint. So again, let me open up a new one. Open up, do this. Okay, so this one is a Mateki 14K B foot joint. Okay, so let's see how this one differs. Immediately say here, okay, so the C is now like here. Okay, one octave up is around here. So like, as you can see, it's quite low. I think the G is like here. And then the C, the next C is here. So like at this point, it kind of converges with how my C foot feels like. Yeah, that's pretty much where the teeth meets the gum, maybe just a hair lower. So it's like here. Yep. Also, the G is also not the kind of like outlier. It's just right up in here. It's the B flat again. Yeah, the B flat is the outlier. So the B flat is again like all the way out here. And then the C. Yeah, I definitely need to open my mouth for this because it's sitting way too high for me. The C is like up here. Yeah, so I have to go, oh, in order to do it. It's definitely not as comfortable as on my solid silver. So let me label these for you guys. And then we can kind of flip back and forth, and then you guys can see what I mean by like, they definitely sit in different places. Oops, there, okay. So this is C4, then we have C5, G5, C6, E6, oh, there we go, G6, B flat 6, and then we have C7. Okay, so now if we kind of jump back and forth between the two different ones, this one is the solid silver, so you can see everything is kind of scrunched inward. And then this one, everything is kind of up, kind of like stretched outward, especially the low notes. The low notes, it's more so that the low notes sit very low. Yeah, I would say that I don't have to stretch out my mouth as much on the higher notes. And I do actually wonder if this is kind of like a, you know, maybe sort of like a, could be slightly subconscious choice. Yeah, because by default, the B foot is going to make this range of motion much, much taller. But there you go. That's kind of your difference there. Really quickly, I'm going to kind of figure out tone color dynamic type stuff. Switch to the correct one. There we go. I can tell I learned tone color on this thing because it's absolutely just like, if you want like a hollower sound, you just make your whole airstream super narrow, tall and narrow. And then if you want a rich sound, you make it really like wide, flat. This is the flute that I learned different tone color on. So like I repeated the Hobbit theme concerning hobbits on this so much. So I learned how to kind of narrow down my tone color from just obsessively playing with the recording over and over and over again, because I felt like when I used my like normal classical sound, it just sounded so wrong. Like it sounded like does that not sound wrong? Like it sounds, it's so out of place. It sounds really forced. It just sounds like it's too much, you know? So yeah, I ended up learning kind of how to manipulate my tone color on this flute using, at that time, Lord of the Rings. So, okay, I'm curious now if the gold Mateki is the same. If it's also this kind of just like narrow and wide airstream to deal with tone color. So let's try it. Oh, very responsive. Is very, and I think it's probably the gold content that's making it super responsive to that. Very impressed. Wow. Wow. That is, whoa. Okay. Color. Color is where this thing is at. Like that flexibility is insane. That is insane. Whoa. So I feel like I can go really, really like wispy, hollow, thin, like and not lose control of the tone. And I can go crazy rich, like full, like super flat, wide airstream, and it does not crack. Like I'm not losing control of it. Whoa, play the Hobbiton theme. You got it, Steve.
Oh gosh.
And also now, because there's open holes, I can like do that little pitch bend. Oh, wow. Oh, oh, oh my. Here's some magic flute on the magic flute. Are you talking like Mozart's magic flute? I do not know my excerpts from that one. Wow. Okay, so we have that, but we can also do this like richer tone, like in Clair Obscur. That's the same flute. What? Queen of the Night. Flute tunes must have Queen of the Night. Flute tunes must have it. We gotta. We gotta. Let's look it up. There it is. Queen of the Night aria. Okay. Okay. Oh, I ran out of air. Oh, whoa. Okay. I had a thought from doing that. I feel like this is not soloistic enough. It's not soloistic enough. No. We're going to try it on the silver one. I think the silver one is bright enough for it. So swapping over, let's try that again. Sorry for some of the mistakes. However, I think you guys can hear how, like, just from the different metal, it works way better on silver. So I think what it is, is that you get more of the like kind of that like soloistic brightness, but still with pretty darn good like tone color flexibility on the silver. But on the gold, I'm noticing that I can get way more tonal flexibility, but you do end up sacrificing some of that kind of soloistic brightness to it, right? So like if I do it again on here. Like I can feel that I can't push it. Like I can't push that, like, you know, that energy that you tend to push into a flute when you're playing soloistically, you know? It doesn't, it's almost a little too mellow, if that makes sense. Like if I do it back to back, I think you guys can hear that difference. Yeah, magic flute on magic flute. Mateki. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, gold, I really feel like the gold is way too mellow. Like I'm really trying to push that soloistic sound, and it is so hard to do it on the 14K. However, on something that is as intimate as like the Clair Obscura theme, because that one it's very, very intimate. It's when you listen to the voice, it's a very up close voice. It's a very like it's mic'd in a way that it's an up close sound. So it has a very it's a chamber type of sound. So like that's why I feel like that works with this with the silver. You hear that? Immediately. Works. Beautiful. Like this is like chamber flute. This is a perfect chamber flute. Oh, insane. Would the gold head joint on the silver body help give it a bit more oomph, but still keep it warm? Nicholas is thinking it'll mellow out the silver for sure. I think so. We can definitely try that. But it might be a little bit of a loose fit because normally gold is a smaller bore than silver. Okay, it does mostly fit. It is kind of loose, but we can try it. So if we did, we'll try the Queen of the Night. It's like a combo. Yeah, it is absolutely like a combo. And the other one. I feel like you get the best of both worlds when you mix the two. Thank you for suggesting that, Miguel. I feel like you get the best of both worlds because yeah, I definitely feel like if you want to go full soloistic, then the full silver. And then if you want to go like full chamber, full gold. Like, oh, that's so interesting. Really quick, we're going to do some dynamics. Oh, here we go. Dynamics, and I'll mess around a little bit with the, you know, the mechanism. I will not comment on the mechanism on my poor solid silver Mateki. It needs some real good TLC. So, Stacy, hello and welcome. How are you doing this fine day? But yes, very mellow flute, yeah. This 14K. But yeah, my goodness, I can feel it. Like, I really need to swab these flutes out. I'm just like, ooh, there is some increasing resistance. And I think it's really just because of it's that condensation, man. That condensation is so real. Okay, so we did that. And then we are going to swab this guy out. I have been very much enjoying using two swabs. For those of you guys who were tuned into my practice stream earlier, I did already explain this, so apologies for the repetition for those of you who have been around since then. But you don't need to do what I'm doing, okay? This is just completely and utterly over the top, but it's just that I own this stuff from being curious. I ended up getting this swab from Singapore, from a Yamaha shop in Singapore. But from what I can tell, I don't think that this swab is actually available for sale in the States. I really think they should. Because I feel like they serve a different purpose than kind of our typical flute flag. This thing kind of picks up, as you can see, it really picks up the last bits of condensation that my flute flag can't pick up. And these are both freshly washed from this weekend, so they are kind of at their, essentially their max absorbency. But anyway, let me just kind of fiddle around with dynamics. I think it's just large and small airstream, but let me test it. Yeah, it's, I think I'm like understanding my roots now. Like, I understand where I got all of these like ideas from. I think you can pretty much tell I learned on a Mateki. So because this is my default. My default is to, like, if I'm trying to make a sound really big, I make that air bubble and the airstream behind it really big. And then the air, if I want it to be soft, make that air bubble super tiny and make the airstream super tiny. One quick note though, for people who are just kind of joining in and, you know, and haven't seen my earlier reviews, something that I discovered this particular year is that the softer you play and the smaller your air bubble is, the more forward you need to push that air bubble. So, for example, this little map that we're looking at here, this is only where the air bubble sits at mezzo forte. If you play all of these notes pianissimo, you take this entire map and you shove it forward a little bit, forward in the mouth. If the air bubble is huge and thus you want to put a much more air into it, so if you're playing forte, fortissimo, take this whole map and shove it back a little bit. So, you know, you can kind of tell if where your flute exactly wants it based on the symptoms. So if it sounds kind of floofy and fluffy, usually that means you've shoved it too far forward. If it sounds swallowed, and like no matter how much air you put into it, it's not ever loud enough, then that means it's too far back. So based on the symptoms of how it sounds, you can kind of adjust it to your flute. But yeah, that's something to just keep in mind. While it seems to be as simple as, oh, just change the size of your air bubble and the size of your airstream to make it soft or loud, you do have to remember to push it forward if it's soft, pull it back if it's loud. All right, so I think it works the same on my silver. Just gonna try that. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I think I have found my roots, which is in Mateki. Like, this is why this is my default. Because like if I learned on any other flute, like from ages 12 to 19, I feel like however that flute plays would have been my default. Like if I had, let's say, grown up on a higher model Yamaha or something like that, how a Yamaha plays would have been my default. But my default, I think I've discovered now, is a Mateki. That's so wild. Okay, little bit of just messing around on the mechanism here. It is so light. Oh, I love it. I think personally, I would still prefer if this was offset. If this was an offset G, would be perfect for me. But in terms of the actual build quality, that is insanely smooth. Oh, wow. It's very smooth, very light, and I almost feel like the keys actually just feel like they don't come up as high. I'm just going to wiggle around on my Brannon. Yeah. This feels like the keys don't come up as high, like from feeling wise. I'm not sure if I could see it from my naked eye, but like feeling wise, it feels like it doesn't come up as high. Okay, that wasn't a really great rendition of it because this is with an inline G and my fingers are like, ah! But what I can say is I definitely feel like I'm lifting my fingers way too high. So with the keys being closer to the tone holes, like even when it's in its fully lifted position, I think this means that ultimately you could play even faster because even in the lifted position, you don't have to go as far. So I'm currently working on my Brannon to pretend like I'm only lifting halfway of the distance that I think that I should lift my fingers. This one, I feel like I almost have to imagine that I'm only lifting my fingers a quarter of the way than I think they need to be lifted. Which means I think I could technically play faster on this ultimately, which is interesting. Okay, I need to get the music out for that one because that one is a really good one for testing finger issues. So if I find that one, Rapid as Wildfires. Oh, it needs to think about it for a second. Okay. Oh, that's so weird. Again, very sorry that it is not better, but it is because of that inline G. Ooh, that really throws me off. However, I could see that, like, if I were to get used to this, I feel like ultimately you could play even faster because you really don't have to move your fingers at all. At all? Not much. So I'm curious now with my solid silver to see if that is also the case. I don't know. So if I try it here. They feel further away. They feel further away. Like my solid silver feels closer to what my Brandon feels like. Oh gosh. Buzzed a little bit. I think I'm getting tired, but this feels way closer. Interesting. So that I would say is a big difference between my Mateki solid silver and this 14K. The keys feel like they don't come up as high, and I don't think I'm imagining it. I don't think I'm imagining it. Yeah. Maybe I am just lucky and found my sound early in life. I don't know. I feel like this is the chicken or the egg kind of situation. That's what I feel. Because I feel like I'm the type of chameleon that could have learned on almost anything. Like, so it's like, is it me? Is it the flute? What I can tell, though, is that this feels very comfortable to me. Like familiar, I would say. Like this is what I discovered in my practice sessions when I was young. Like how to control like tone color dynamics, that type of thing. Do I think that if Matekis were a lot more common in the US that I might have considered one for my professional instrument back then? Probably. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm quite comfortable on it. I think what I would say though is I am a little bit surprised by how heavy the 14K is. That part I'm like, oof. But if it was like C-foot joint, I would consider it. I think I'm a very light flute type of player. Like the lighter the flute is, I feel like the better I personally play it. I find that I don't play heavy flutes as well. So that would be my thought process there, is that I think my Brandon still feels like, even with the B-foot joint, I think feels not as heavy as this one. This feels quite heavy. Like it's a big boy, but designed for smaller hands, you know? Yeah, exactly, Miguel. Like I do actually think there is an alternate universe, Joanna, that ended up going professional on a Mateki. Like I could see it. I could totally see it. Hey, Victor. Nicholas, you're the opposite. The heavier the flute, the better you like it. See? We're all different. Yeah. I really think like if alternate universe Joanna was like taller, you know? I wonder. I really wonder. I have to crack into the multiverse and defeat all the other Joannas. I would like to think that I would try to be friends with the other Joannas. I feel like that's a very Joanna thing to do, right? Oh, you guys. Yeah. This is so interesting. This is really interesting to me. All right. Now, I think for fun, what I should do now is, you know, let's just be nerds about the fun little Muramatsu. So, for like the next hour or so or something like that. So let's, I'm just going to very quickly swab these out. So this next flute we're going to look at is a fun little flute that I saw at NFA. Some of you guys got to try it too. And it has a funny G to A trill, and I thought it'd be really fun to just kind of like nerd out about it with you guys. So let me just swab these really quickly. I'll give them a proper wipe down afterwards, but at the very least, I don't want them to sit around with a bunch of condensation. So we're just gonna swab that out really quick. There we go. And then for this one, swab it out. I kind of knew that like the Muramatsu for today's stream was just gonna be like a fun little add-on. I don't think I'm gonna do like a very serious review on it. Simply because it's mostly that I just want to show you guys what I saw at NFA. So, okay, let me put these away. So I'm going to use my Cam Voyage. Yeah, doing this review is making me really realize I really need to prioritize giving my Mateki a solid overhaul. It really deserves it. It's a gorgeous flute. I'm really understanding kind of like the origins of Joanna, the flutist, you know? Like, I can really see it in how this flute plays. Yes, I know. Look at that shine. The Spider-Man pointing meme, but it's all three different Joannas. So one with the Brandon Seafoot Monka head, one with the LaFawn head joint on Brandon, and then one with a 14 karat Mateki, right? I think what I would have ended up going for, like just from what we tried today, I think I would have ended up going for a 14 karat Mateki head joint on my silver Mateki. Like that combo to me felt perfect. Like it was this kind of like, I could go between like the more goldy, mellowy sound if I wanted to, but I could also dip into the more soloistic sound, which is way more compatible with you know, like studying in school. Because when you're studying music, and a bunch of you guys are in music school, so you know what I mean. But for those of you guys who are unfamiliar with that world, when you're in music school, you are in school, okay? So you are learning different you're learning different like modes of performing, right? So your instrument, thus, you know, for you to have the best time possible in school, your instrument needs to be flexible enough. So it needs to like be able to dip into a more soloistic sound for your juries, for your recitals. If you end up playing a like a solo in band or an orchestra, but then you're going to be doing, you know, like small ensembles as well, like chamber ensembles. So if you have like a tank of a flute, and you know that mostly does you know, like have a very soloistic sound. Like let's say that your flute has like, you know, platinum in it or something like that, you know. You know, if you don't have as like, what's the word? Like, if you don't have as a mellow enough sound to blend with other people, you're gonna totally steamroll over your friends in your chamber group. And that makes chamber music very, very frustrating to play. So you tend to have the best time in school if you end up, you know, with an instrument that has a little bit more flexibility tone color wise. So I feel like once you've settled into your career and you have a really good idea of like what type of music you mostly play, who do you play with, that type of thing, then you can start to get kind of like really sort of like nitpicky and sort of like glass slippery about your choices in what you choose for your main instrument. So, you know, like that's why I am very comfortable with my wooden lip plate, right? Because based on what I do for a living, I absolutely can get away with a wood lip plate. I don't know if I could get away with it if I was part of like a professional orchestra. Like that particular sound may not actually work in a professional orchestra. So, you know, it's just food for thought. Anyway. Yeah, the 14 karat head joint on my Mateki silver, absolutely, as Miguel said, would be a good upgrade and would be a lot more cost friendly. Yes, exactly. Anyway, time to have some fun. Let's very quickly put away my Brannon here. So, just gonna, my hands are forever disgustingly oily, so I need to put that, I always need to wipe it down before putting it away. Like, I mean, I feel like the amount of oil that my skin has absolutely helped me, you know, stay looking young. But my God, is it annoying when you're working with flutes? It's just like, oh God. Everything just has my fingerprints everywhere. Oh, forever sweaty and oily. Same here. I like, oh God. I've sort of like over the years, I've finally just accepted the fact that I'm just a super sweaty person. But not necessarily the most fun. Anyway, here is the 18 karat Muramatsu that a bunch of guys got to try, and also I also got to give it a whirl in at NFA. So look how yellow gold it is. Like, it is insane how yellow gold it is. But let me see if I can get it to focus a little bit better. I think I'm going to actually put my lights down a little bit. Like if I put it down, yeah, it's a little, if I did 10, it's a little better. Yeah, it's a little better. Lighting is always so difficult to do. Okay, let me put this in the video description. So I'm just going to find that one. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So this one, hello. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, and this is the Muramatsu 18K, serial number 23237. Also inline. Why me? But this one is plugged. Okay, here we go. So what makes this super interesting is the G to A trill. So if I kind of, yeah, that's actually slightly better lighting. But you guys see how there's like an extra key? So if we look down here, what you'll see here is very, very interesting. Normally you do not see this many these many tiny keys. So where the C sharp trill key is usually right here, and it is usually a full tone hole. So if I take out my flute, I'll show you guys what that looks like. So mine has a C sharp trill, and it is a full tone hole. I am trying to hold this in such a way that I do not hurt my flute. Okay, there we go. So you can see that that is where the C sharp trill usually sits, right there, giant tone hole. That's a full-sized tone hole, whereas this baby has one extra one here and one extra one here. See that? And they're the same size as your typical trill keys here. This one, these two are your first and second trill keys on this side. So if we kind of do this now, so if I trill this one, let me do it like this and try to get it so that it focuses on me. Please focus on me. Okay, so if we do this, you can see that it, look at this crazy long post. I feel like all the posts look kind of different here, like all the anyway. So that one trills that one. This one, the one that's further down, that is like kind of the same size as your second trill key. This one is still your typical, but if you press this one down, this little one by itself, it pushes these two down, or that is, it opens them. See that? So again, it's this little one right here that we're trilling. Now, the reason why they're placed together is so you can use the same finger to press them both down at the same time. And so what you're going to do is it opens all three, like from here, here, and then this tiny one here. It opens all three of them. And you can do that with one finger on both keys. So if you're looking from a flutist perspective, your finger can just go like this, and it opens all of them, right? Like even my small fingers can get both of them to like both keys down, and you open all three. So what this does, this essentially is like what I would describe as almost kind of like a split C sharp key. Like, well, split is not really the right word for it, but it's as if you took the C sharp tone hole and divided it into two smaller holes. Like it functions similarly to that. But yeah, this is a very unusual mechanism, but it does make it so that when you trill high G to A, you just need to trill these like this, and it's like brilliant, fast, not awkward fingering for high G to A trill. So let me show that to you guys real quick. I'm just going to make this go away. Okay. Let me put this together. Oh, the C foot joint just feels so good. Oh. Need to measure the radius of the full size versus the radius of the smaller ones. So the smaller ones, if I'm looking at it correctly, the smaller ones are exactly the same size as the trill keys. So you could even measure it on your own flute because you have both. Perfect. Okay. Oh. Yeah, Miguel, you remember this Muramatsu. It bullied you just like the Mateki because of the gold, right? And this one has even more. This thing is 18 karat. Andrew, hello. That is so sweet of you to say. Thank you so much for, watching my content, and welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. We're just nerding right now. So, now normally, I guess I should take out my whole Brandon flute again. Normally, like one of the reasons why I got this C sharp trill was so that I could also very easily trill high G to A, but it's still somewhat awkward because you have to trill with two fingers simultaneously, and you have to reach with one finger over to the C sharp trill. So on my flute and on any flute that has a C sharp trill, if you want to trill high G to A, you finger high G, which is left hand index middle ring, no thumb. Then you reach over with your index finger to press down onto the C sharp trill. At the same time, you use your middle finger to press down on the first trill key, the one between normally your index and middle finger, but you've shifted your whole hand over. And then you trill those two keys together at the same time, and also you leave your pinky down for tuning purposes. So this is what it sounds like. Now, at the very end there, did you guys hear that it just wasn't, I didn't time it perfectly right at the very end? Now, with this 18K Muramatsu, with this funny little kind of like G to A trill business, you don't have that at all. That will not happen because you're not using two fingers to trill at the same time. You're only using one. So on this one, it's crazy easy. Like usually high G to A trill is like nowhere near that easy. So like for me, when I got this combo, I did actually have to practice this trill to make it as clean as possible. So again. Yeah, see, it's like even now, sometimes I don't time it quite right at the very end. Yeah, like it's definitely something that I had to practice to do at the same time. But yeah, that problem is completely negated here. But anyway, before we get too far into this, I should at the very least read out the specs to you guys for this Muramatsu. So this is 18 karat gold hand cut head joint, 18 karat gold body with sterling silver mechanism, pinned mechanism, drawn tone holes, French open hole model, pointed key arms, gold springs, Muramatsu pads, 0.012 tubing, which I have since learned is standard wall for gold. A equals 442. Inline G C foot joint, handmade in Japan, made in 1979. And what's interesting is that the description does not actually mention this funny little G to A trill. So yeah, if you guys try this, just know that this thing exists. So I'm curious now. I kind of want to try playing a C sharp with this and see what happens, or see if it is a C sharp. So regular C sharp. Oh! So if you press this down by itself without pressing down the other trill key, and you hold like a C fingering, you do get a C sharp. It's slightly sharper, I think, like very slightly sharper than the regular fingering. Yeah, it is a C sharp trill. This thing is absolutely C sharp trill. So if I did B to C sharp then. Okay, what I will say, so it absolutely works. It is a C sharp trill. It's just that it's a C sharp trill that splits it between two small holes. So it works, but because you're trilling two keys with the one key, with the one trill key, it feels heavier. So you literally feel like there is more resistance when you're doing the trilling versus when you do it with a C sharp trill, because on a C sharp trill, this up here is only moving one key. So because it's only moving one key, it doesn't have that crazy resistance to it. So and because of that, did I even do the right microphone? I'll do it back to back. Okay, could you hear how, like, you can actually almost hear how much harder I have to trill it when it's operating two keys instead of just one. So you get a more, I think, vibrant sound with the C sharp trill because it is just the one key. The drawback is that you have to reach insanely far for it, like way over here. The reason why I like this is because for a small hand, this is nice. For a small hand to not have to go over there is like, that's nuts. So it's like, it's kind of like, it's one of those, like, it's a give and take, okay? There's no perfect answer, all right? Now, another thing that people will probably argue for is that with a C sharp trill, you get a full tone hole. And with a full tone hole, what this means is that it's way more in tune. It's a lot more stable. But here, because it's two small holes, you can actually kind of hear how it's not fully in tune, nor is it very open sounding. And it's not open sounding because it does not utilize a full size tone hole. So there are drawbacks for both. I would say maybe the like I could kind of see why the C sharp trill really took off, because it is a full tone hole, plus you're only operating one extra key instead of two keys at the same time, thus making it more vibrant and like less clunky. Likely is easier to fix as well. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this type of mechanism is actually really hard to fix. So like, but like oh man, like for small hands, this is a dream. For big hands, this is a nightmare. Okay? Like if you have like really big, like much, like I would say wider fingers, you're not, I don't think you're gonna like this, because you're not gonna be able to like feel them separate from each other. You know, it's just, I have super like small hands and like thin fingers. So to me, these actually do feel like two separate keys. So like this is like small hand dream, but the drawback is that you're operating two keys at the same time and they are small tone holes, so you don't get that full, completely in tune sound. And like that open sound, you don't get that open sound that you get from a full tone hole. So yeah, proper venting, as JustAnotherFlutist is saying here. Yeah, because of that full tone hole, you get proper venting. So yeah, you get a way more vibrant trill with the C sharp trill because of that. However, it's more awkward because you have to do two fingers at the same time. So there you go. I think this is very cool and very interesting. Honestly, a small hand's dream. Because here's the thing, is like, if your hands are small enough that it is creating an issue to play things cleanly, then it's like, well, then maybe sacrificing the full openness of the sound and the full in-tuneness of the sound is worth the ease at which you can play, right? Like you can play more accurately, you can play more reliably, because really consistency and reliability is really what's going to take you far in music. You have to be consistent, you have to be reliable. And if playing your instrument, like, yes, it might be more in tune, it might vent properly, it might be more open sounding, more vibrant sounding, but if you can't physically make it work, then is it worth all of that? Right? Like, if you can't make it sound good, then what's the point of it, quote, sounding better? Right? Yeah. You guys agree, right? So it's kind of like, I really wanted to like show you guys these flutes because I wanted to kind of start this conversation. Like I wanted you guys to kind of see that, you know, there are arguments to be made for both. There really is no one true flute. There's not even a one true mechanism. It really is kind of dependent on, like, as the flutist, what equipment do you need to be able to play at your best? Does this mean that you might need to sacrifice some things in order for you to play your best? Probably. You know? So like, for example, one thing that I have had to really sacrifice on my flute is plugging my ring finger. I have to. It's once I plugged it, fixed a bunch of my issues. Because like, if you look at my fingers, like that, look at the discrepancy between my ring finger and my pinky. okay? Like, I feel like it's obvious that I would have foot joint issues, you know? Like, that ring finger is going to be, absolutely is going to be just slipping off of that hole, you know? So it's fine. For me, I'm just like, I'll just remove that plug when I want to play a piece where I actually have to slide around on that particular key. You know, but like plugging it has made it so that I can play at my best without hurting myself. Because physically, I will actually hurt myself, and I have hurt myself by forcing that ring finger to like stay exactly in the middle all the time. It's just, it's not good for me. The flute chooses a flutist. There you go, Andrew. There you go. And that's why you got to try. Yes, exactly, Miguel. Yeah. Yeah. So Nicholas, you're saying compared to most flutists in Europe, they have the bare bone, most bare bone, no C sharp trill. Basically this flute, right? My Mateki bare bones flute. I wish that was explained to me when I was 12. That like, okay, it might look like an American beginner model flute, but this is a professional model flute that people play in Europe and in other parts of the world, you know? Alternate Joe me. So Andrew, you're asking, how do wooden flutes fit my hand / grip? So I noticed that wooden flutes are like, because they're made of wood, right? So they're thicker. And because they're thicker, like it's almost like, it feels like someone's put a rest on the flute. And so I do find it very comfortable personally. I find it very, very comfortable. And wood on my like hands, just, I don't know if it's like the organic feel or it's just that wood feels softer than metal. I find it very, very comfortable. Yeah. I haven't really tried out the whole like rockstro grip on a wooden flute. Like I haven't tried it on like a full wooden modern style flute. Like I haven't done a deep dive in that yet. So I can't answer your question fully, but what I can tell you is that I always feel like wooden flutes feel very comfortable to me, because it's just that organic feel is really nice. You tend to slip on metal flutes. So Andrew, you might want to look into Woodify. They are pretty pricey. They are very pricey, but they're one, very pretty. And two, they are wooden rests that you can, mount onto your flute. And when I say mount, I truly mean it. You use mounting tape for it. And I just haven't put it on my flute because I've been lazy, but it is made by a flutist, Alessandro Battici, and made by a flutist for flutists. And what I really like about those, about Woodify rests for the right hand and for the left hand, is that there's something about the fact that it is wood that makes it so that you don't lose that kind of like the vibration feedback of the tube of the instrument. You don't lose it through the wood. The wood actually transfers that vibration to your fingers. So I feel like I get more physical feedback from the flute with the Woodify. Not to poo-poo on any of the other rests out there. There's some really great rests out there, but I just noticed that, for example, the thumb port and the finger port, the Solexa ones, because they're made of like this, especially because they have rubber on them. I think it's mostly the rubber that is causing this. What I find is that the rubber material soaks up the vibration of the flute as it is being played, and it kind of like numbs it so far that by the time it reaches my thumb and the side of my left hand, I'm not feeling anything. So like essentially I almost feel like I get no physical feedback from the flute. Yes, it helped my hand posture, but I didn't get that physical feedback at all. But the weird thing is that the rubber part of it is really what can like help the rest not scratch the flute. That's the thing, is like you kind of needed that. So for me, the Woodify, I felt kind of like, you know, like with it being mounted on with mounting tape and with it being wood, for me at the very least, I was like, okay, this feels like I can actually like the flute feels alive in my hands. And based on how the flute vibrates, I can kind of feel if it is vibrating correctly. I know this sounds really like, you know, like, woo, kind of foo-foo, you know, foo-foo artist weird crap, okay? But I think like pretty much any other flutist will tell you a very similar thing. You can tell if you're having a good day or a bad day depending on how the flute vibrates in your hand. Like you can feel it. You can feel if it's vibrating correctly. So I like Woodify for that reason. It's expensive though, okay? It's expensive, but I do think that it works beautifully in that way. That it like you can actually feel the vibration of the flute going through. Yeah. So there you go. Oh, I would absolutely love to do a wooden flute video. You know what's really interesting though is that wooden flute inventory tends to be very low. And that is why it's been difficult to do kind of like a massive wooden flute review, you know? But I would love to. I would really love to. Yeah. Yeah, so like, as Miguel also is noting, that Woodify is pretty expensive. So it is pretty expensive, but it does actually make a difference. So, you know, yeah. Yeah, Miguel also tried the Dija wooden flute. Comfortable, right? The wood is so comfortable. It's so nice. Yeah. So Rogue, you like your thumb port for your right hand, but your right thumb has below average flexibility. Yeah, thumb port's really good for that. So like really my only gripe with the thumb port is the rubber, I feel, really soaks up the vibrations of the flute. And yeah, just like for someone who is as picky as me when it comes to playing the flute, and really anyone, like you let a flutist play a flute long enough, they get real picky, okay? But like for someone who's as picky as me, like I'm like, I just feel like I don't have any physical feedback, you know? So yeah. Anyway, do you guys want me to do a like full-on review of this 18K Muramatsu? Because I could do it really quickly if you guys want me to. But really, I just wanted to show you guys how interesting it is, you know, and sort of bring up this issue of like, you know, it really depends on the player. It depends on, you know, what the player wants. Oh, Flute Center's website says that Dija wooden flutes are actually discontinued right now, but they hope to be in stock by October. All right, keep an eye out, guys. Thanks, Miguel, for that heads up. All right, Andrew is saying yes, please. Okay, I'll do a really quick one. Okay, so I'll kind of do it like how I did for the Mateki. So let's bring out the drawing. So here we go. Let's do that. So let's see here. And yeah, Muramatsu speed run analysis. speed run any percent, basically. Okay, so let's do this. Okay. I swear my mouse is dying. I think it might be the battery. The battery's at 10%. I'm just like, it takes me like 3 clicks to click on something, but I am the world's cheapest person when it comes to this type of stuff, and I will wait until the battery's dead before I change it. Anyway, let's bring this back up. We're going to, let's see, let's title this correctly. So this is the Muramatsu 18K C foot joint, funny G to A trill, or no, funny C sharp trill. There. Now it fits. Okay, so let's give this a whirl. It is actually called a G to A trill, isn't it? Let me change it. Let me change it. Muramatsu 18K C foot G to A trill. There we go. Okay. So now, let's see where this all sits. Okay, yeah, it's sitting on my lower lip again. I do love me some C foots, guys. I love me that C foot. That C foot makes it so that the C almost always sits right here. Like I would say it, you can kind of see where I'm drawing it. It's like a little bit more on the inside, but it's still sitting on the lower lip. It's sitting further in. I need to change it. So it's sitting like here. Yeah, yeah. Okay, very interesting. Comes up to here for 1 octave above. Oh yeah, this is a vintage baby because it's in front of the teeth. Oh, oh. It's yeah, this is vintage. This is definitely vintage. Very forward. Woo! Okay. The E is like here. Oh no. I don't know if, how's the rest of this gonna feel? Ooh, that's a little difficult for me. I have to really like open up the top of my top lip, like in front of the gum. Oh, this one, the B flat is also the outlier. So this one, the B flat is like here. Woo! Okay, that was pretty difficult for me to get out, but It's like up here. Yeah, I can just get it out, but ooh, that's See how forward this is? So this means that the, like, between the teeth tonguing is gonna really work on this. This is making me realize I forgot articulation for the Matekis. I'm gonna have to bring them back out again. But anyway, tonguing between the teeth, because everything is in front of the mouth, in front of the teeth, sorry, everything is in front of the teeth. I'm gonna try a little bit of tone color dynamics. Yeah, this one's very different. Muramatsu, very, very different. So for dynamics, it's, so I kind of feel sort of like a very circular air bubble where I've plotted it here. But if you want it to be loud, you grow that shape downwards like this. So the whole thing kind of like goes from a circular air bubble to like this. So it grows downward like this. And then if you're looking from the side for tone color, there's kind of like this space down and back behind it. So it's kind of like a big space out here. So this is the air bubble, and this is your space behind it. And so your space behind it will, if you want it to be really rich, like lots of harmonics underneath, thick, fat color, you kind of like make that space behind it really big, but then you can cut off that space almost entirely if you wanted to go more into like kind of the hollow sound. So the space back here behind, lower and behind the air bubble, this is what kind of is growing and narrowing. That's what's controlling the tone color. So as you can see, very different than how the Mateki works. The Mateki is just kind of the shape of the air bubble that you're kind of like manipulating, right? But with this one, with the Muramatsu, like you know, in terms of dynamics, you're growing like this, like this. This is soft, and then it grows like this to be loud. And then again from the side, if this is your air bubble, then behind it, like this. Like if you want it to be rich, then you grow the space behind it. And then if you want it to be hollow, you narrow it, and you can even just kind of cut off actually all of that space behind it. So if you feel like you play this and it's not rich at all, it's likely because the way that you play, you're not opening up the space behind and below it. All right, there we go. Mechanism. So good. Okay, so what I will say is the mechanism, very even, is really nice. A little bit more on the resistance side in general, and also similar to the Mateki, I feel like the keys don't come up that high. So I don't know if it's like a Japanese flute thing, but yeah, I don't feel like the keys come up really high at all. But it is very nice. You can hear how like brilliant the trills are. Very bouncy trill keys. Yeah, that B flat lever over here is situated very low. Like, I feel like this was designed for someone with tiny hands. Like this is a tiny hand person dream. Like that B flat lever is so low. That's actually insane. I'll show you guys a close up. So if you look, my B flat lever is this one. But if you look here, look how low that is. That's insanely low. Oh my God. Like, look at that difference. That's actually insane how low that is. Oh, for a person with small hands, that is so nice. It is so nice. Yeah, Japanese flutes have always been very bouncy and very small. That's how I feel. It's like some of the bounce I'm finding is coming from the fact that they're not afraid of making it very slightly resistant. So if it's very slightly resistant, I find that it tends to bounce more. That at least that's what I find when it comes to mechanism. So you get a much more brilliant kind of like trill when you're kind of like you know, ripping through fast passages. It sounds way more brilliant because of that bounce. There's like more of a snap to it, you know? So yeah. All right, later, Steve. Thank you so much for joining. See feet. But yeah, this is a small hand dream. Absolutely is small hand dream. Like that's what I would kind of, you know, put out there in terms of the mechanism. Absolutely a small hand dream. B flat lever nice and low. The G to A trill is like, you know, it's right there. You don't have to stretch. Oh, that's so nice. It's really nice. I think what I would really love is kind of like a marriage of these two mechanisms, because I really like the like pinless mechanism that, you know, that I'm really used to. It's not to say that the pin mechanism is bad. Not at all. This pin mechanism is beautiful. It's done very well. But I think I just very slightly prefer the feel of pinless mechanism. I don't know if that's just familiarity or what. But if it was pinless mechanism, but I just didn't have to reach my fingers so far, oh, that would be so nice, you know? You like them all. It's so hard to choose a new flute. I know, Miguel. I know. It's always a bit of a give and take. You always have to be like, because it has to fit within your budget, but then it also has to fit you. If it fits you, it by default means that you are sacrificing something. There's something that's going to be sacrificed, you know? So anyway, very quickly, I wanted to just stare at my Mateki little drawings. And what we're going to do with articulation is we're going to always put your tongue, the tip of your tongue, behind where the air bubble sits. That's typically where it's going to sound the cleanest. So this means that if you're going up and down registers, the tongue needs to follow it. So just very quickly. Is there are you doing? Yeah. So yeah, my tongue just follows it. Let's do double tonguing. That feels so close to what I normally do. So my K is very far forward, but I would say that it's like a very light contact to the roof of the mouth. Very light, almost not there. Oh, thank you. Ethan, I know what you're talking about. I appreciate it. Let me change that in the video description. It was at the very end, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry. Let me put here by Flute Center. Thank you, Flute Center. Thank you for pointing that out. We in this together, guys. Here, I saved it. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. So the double tonguing is almost no contact. Almost no contact with the roof of the mouth. I'm now curious if the Mateki 14K is the same, because it's very similar, as you guys can see. So I was doing, oh God, this. Now we're going to do this. Okay. So let's open this up. Because now that I remember that I haven't done the, now I have to clean all of these up. Oh man. Okay. Oh well, it's okay. Gotta do it for the completion, you know? Okay. We'll give this a whirl. I think it is very similar, but I'm going to follow my little map here again. Okay. It's very similar. Yeah, it's the same. I would say it feels pretty much the same as my Mateki Solid Silver. So again, I follow my tongue, the tip of my tongue behind the air bubble. If the air bubble is in front of the teeth, then I'm tonguing between the teeth like that. And then anytime it goes behind the teeth and above, like my tongue is following it. So this feels very, very like typical, normal to me. That is a lot of flutes on camera. Here, I'll zoom out. Then you can see even more flutes. Good God. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. I also noticed the double tonguing on this 14K Mateki is a similar thing. Is when I make contact with the K part of the double tongue against the roof of my mouth, it's a very light touch. It's almost not there, but I am still making slight contact with the roof of my mouth. Any harder than that, and it's going to sound really rough, which would explain why it sounded the way it did on the when I tried to play the Rapid as Wildfires. It was sounding a little kind of floofy, and I think it's because the tongue was too harsh against it. Looks like a car. Yeah. Can we hear the manka on the Mateki? Oh! I have not tried that. Okay. Since we're doing that, just so we don't confuse people, we're gonna make that go away. You want it on my Mateki, right? Oh, this is going to be a very not tight fit. Oh yeah, that. Okay, we're gonna be very careful because I don't want to put tape on it. Okay, here we go. Wow. I like that combo. Oh. Oh, okay. I think it's because it has the wood, gold, and silver. So now it can kind of go in any direction I want to. Interesting. Interesting. Now, last thing I know that you guys are going to want me to try is my manka on the Mateki 14K, right? Oh, it's a very loose fit too. It's a super loose fit. Sorry, I'm using the wrong microphone, but wow, that's a really loose fit. Okay, we're going to be real careful, real careful. Yeah, it's pretty mellow. very mellow though. Very, okay, I'm just curious. If I put it back on mine and I did the same exact thing. Okay. Okay. I like that you think that I sound like mature Joe on this one, and then like baby Joe, younger Joe on the Mateki. It has that almost like the Mateki silver, especially has this kind of like bright-eyed sort of kind of young feel to it, you know? Wow. Yeah, more innocent sound. Yeah, it's like a bright-eyed sort of sound. But like I think these days I really like kind of digging into that very like gritty kind of deep sound. I feel like all of these sounds have their place. Like they're all kind of again sort of like alternate versions of me, you know. Yes, exactly. I feel the same, Miguel, that the silver Mateki plus Monka head would be good for a recording musician gig. Lets you get a lot more colors. Agree. Agree. Yes. So yeah, I do think if I gave a proper little overhaul to my Mateki, I could really, I think, increase the my palette. So like depending on the piece, I might actually choose a different flute. Like I actually wonder if the Monka plus the Mateki is going to make for a much better combo for the E-Bear. I actually think so. I think it's a better combo for the E-Bear. Because I actually think my Brandon's too mellow for the E-Bear. Right? Do you guys feel it? Because I almost kind of feel like the Monka plus Mateki worked so well for the Clair Obscur. Like that was amazing for that. And so I'm just kind of like, yeah. Has similar effect to the pink ivory Monka I tried. Exactly. I still think about the pink ivory every now and then because I'm like, it's like an alternate version of me that I'm like, I don't really know if I want to dip into that color all of the time, but like, it's interesting that I can create that sound, you know? Yeah, right? Like the Monka plus Mateki, I really need to give an overhaul to my Mateki. It really needs it. Because, yeah, I'm starting to think that is actually what the E-Bear needs. I think the E-Bear actually needs my Mateki. My bare bones Mateki. Yeah. Are there not enough flutes on camera right now? Here. Let me put them all back together again. That's altogether way too many flutes. Welcome back, Michael. Okay, I'm taking a look at the time. I really need to go. That was super fun, guys. That was super, super fun. I'm so glad that I had enough time to just like be able to do all these like fun little combos that you guys, are asking for. Because I always feel like if you guys get it, get in on the review, it always makes for a much more interesting review. And like I learn more about like myself and the flutes. So thank you for your participation. I really appreciate it. Just 2 of these flutes is more than your student loans. I know. I get it. Yeah. I think like my flute, the combo on its own, is already more than my master's. My master's tuition. It's stupid. It's stupid. I gotta try Williams. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you very much. Okay, but anyway, I really have to excuse myself now. But thank you guys so much for joining. That was super fun. Huge thanks to the Flute Center for lending me these beautiful flutes. I learned a lot about myself, about young Joanna, kind of like where my default way of playing comes from. And like, I feel like this is really good information for me to have. It's going to make me even more, I think, like in control of what I do. Yeah, so I do highly recommend that you guys do something very similar if you have the chance to. If you guys are trialing flutes, this is a really great way to get to know yourself as a player. It makes you a stronger player. So highly recommend. But thank you all so much for joining. I love you guys very much. Please stay happy, healthy, and safe. And I will see you guys next time. Make sure you take care of yourselves because there's no music without the musician. I love you all so very much. Laters. See you next week. Bye-bye.